Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Golombieski. I'm a senior at the Miami University, and I am in Bio 121. And this is my final project. Is diesel fuel really as bad as people make it out to be? So first off, I want to kind of talk about the issues of why people think, the main issues why people think gas is better than diesel. There's four main issues: carbon dioxide, hydrocarbons, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter, that are all deposits from combustion engines. And in the figure one, I put that in there to really show what the differences between the two types of fuel used in engines are, between how much of each of these that are released. You can see nitrogen oxide, particulate matter, diesels are worse in, and carbon dioxide and hydrocarbons, gasoline is worse on. One of the reasons diesel could be better, people say, well, it was found in a study that diesel fuel contains roughly about 15% more energy than its gasoline counterpart. This is based on the amount of energy that diesel really can produce in the combustion system. Because of this, diesel vehicles can often go about 20 to 30% further on a gallon of fuel than a gasoline vehicle. That is also very dependent on what are you using the vehicle for. Is it towing a lot? Is it made to go fast? Is it made for efficiency? Every car is tuned and perfected in a different way. Emissions, you can see in that graph next to the in the side of the slide, diesel is about two times as good as on fuel efficiency overall, just under 1 gallon an hour running, while gas is just under 2 gallons an hour. Some things that help emissions in these vehicles: catalytic converters have been implemented in cars just recently, or not recently, they have been for a while. They decrease emissions dramatically. However, because of that, they run less efficiently, causing them to burn more fuel, or needing to burn more fuel to go the same distance. More fuel burnt means more CO2 producing into the air. Diesels produce lower levels overall of carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxides. The fuel catalysts in diesels that have been put in there to implement better emissions, that decreases the amount of those carbon monoxides, hydrocarbons, and oxides that are being produced from those engines. Longevity, diesel engines are known to have a really long life expectancy, roughly about 200,000 miles compared to about 150,000 miles for gasoline engines, before they are starting to need major engine repairs. This is because diesel fuel is more more of a natural lubricant than gasoline. Just that's the properties of diesel versus gasoline. More lubricated the engines can be, the longer they will end up lasting. Practical issues: this is what you have to decide and think about when you go and decide what kind of car you want. Do you want a car with a diesel engine versus gas? Are you driving in the city more or on the highway? You can tell semi-trucks on the highway, most of them all have diesels in them. They produce higher torque to tow the payloads that are needed in those trucks. Most of the cars you see around the city, gasoline, hybrids. My car, in fact, on this slide, 3 of my vehicles I put in here. The top right is my everyday car. I drive that every day to school and back, to work and back. I drive a lot in the city. It's a hybrid. It gets about a little bit over 40 miles a gallon. The truck on the left doesn't get a whole lot better. It gets a lot worse, but it's not great. I use that to tow my race car on the bottom. I drift in that car, and that car is tuned, like you can see, self-ignition, the fuel, knock. In race cars, you don't want knock. That damages the engine. So because of that, I run E85. The engine has been modified and tuned to run specifically off ethanol E85 is a fuel that's made from grain alcohol, mainly corn, and because of that, it burns so much hotter than normal gasoline that car, when I go out on a track, if I fill it up, I have about two track sessions with it, so about 20 minutes, and it burns through an entire tank of gas. It gets about 2 or 3 miles a gallon on average, foot to the floor, revving that thing out like I have to for the racing I do. Issues with diesel. This is where diesel gets the most hate. You see the trucks go down the highway, interstate, down the city when they take off, and a big cloud of black smoke comes out of the tailpipe. Most of that is because of tuned engines. When people tune their engines, like I did with my drift car, they tune them to run rich, so there's always enough fuel, even if that means having excess fuel come out of the exhaust. More fuel means more performance, which is why diesels kind of have a bad rep. Most of those guys use that for better performance, better towing capabilities. More power equals a better towing experience for most people. They're not really worried about getting the best miles a gallon if they're towing a camper or multiple cars or something like that. And the other part about it is the lower quality fuel you'll have overall for gasoline and diesel, the poorer the combustion levels will be, so the fuel won't be igniting like it should be, so it's exiting the exhaust without being burnt, without any of that energy being used to move the car forward. So the more gas you have to use to get that car going forward, the less efficient it's going to be. And here's a page about my sources. Thank you very much.